We got the games that were played in 2021 but are not eligible. None of these were on that list, so you're good. Call of Duty Cold War. Actually played some multiplayer in 2019. I thought I was going to play the campaign plus the multiplayer in 2020. Didn't do that at all. So I technically played it a little bit, but not eligible. Immortals Phoenix Rising, put about 20 hours into this guy, but that's a beast of a game, and so that'll probably be on 2022. Halo Infinite. I think we're going to play some multiplayer and probably the campaign for it this year or next year if I had to guess. So that'll be different. Just Cause 4. I think I'm like very halfway. I try to put the game in the year I play the majority of it in. I think I'm almost exactly halfway done with that game. But I decided to do it next year just because why not? And then Zombie Army Trilogy, we only played one stream, but we did play it in 2021. Stubbs the Zombie, Rebel Without a Pulse. This is a fun game that is kind of a buggy piece of shit. Is kind of where it's at. It's short. It's funny. It's super. It's an easy concept. It's basically cheesy one-liners and a funny story, along with some simple, fun action. You get to play as a zombie, which is always kind of fun, and it's a goofy game. That's got surprisingly cool stuff. Man, was it not ready to be released. I don't think there's a remaster. I don't think there's a good excuse for a remaster to be incredibly buggy. And it's not like I played it right at release. So this game, and I was playing on PS4. Mark was playing on PS5. It was crashing. It just sucked. It was a little disappointing. So, I thought this has a lot of potential. This could have been better. I just don't think I know, Mark, you explained why it's buggy, but I still think there's no good excuse for that. So fun game, but I lost a whole stream's worth of progress on the hardest difficulty on it, and I haven't gone back since. I do want to go back to get the platinum, so the game's good enough for me to go back, but it really pissed me off, I won't lie to you. Alright, number 9. Life is Strange. Life is Tumblr, as old Kremler would say. This is it's an interesting concept. The time travel piece, where some stuff is reversible, some of it's not. How she starts to get, I guess, spoilers. Starts to get, the kind of the nosebleeds from it, and you realize that even it's like everyone's fantasy to be able to rewind time. But you realize that you rewind time, the outcome isn't always better. So it's an interesting little concept to that. The story was surprisingly interesting. I thought it was a little weird that this, she goes to this super nice high school and it's like this, there's like a whole, it's incredibly sketchy. Like it is, like the amount of shit that happens at the high school is unbelievable. But also she's using time travel, so I don't know. It was pretty cheesy, pretty corny at times. But it had an interesting enough story to keep me going. It's a shorter game. This isn't a 100-hour slog through this. It was on rails, which I'm starting to appreciate. And the characters were interesting to make it all right. So, good game. I'm not jumping to play 2 and 3 or 2 and 1.5 or the prequel and 3. But I wouldn't mind if they got, if they were $5 with cue balls or whatever. I wouldn't be mad about it. Number 8. MLB The Show 21. This gets a little bit of a ding because I had MLB The Show 20, and I know that's not fair at all. But it didn't make a colossal leap from 20. They added a cool new game mode. They kept my favorite game mode, which is Crucial Diamond Dynasty Conquest mode. You gotta have that. My player was still good. They did the 2-way player. They added that, which was cool, so that you could be a pitcher and a hitter. So solid game, enough improvements for it to make this list. The anti-Madden, if you will. But not a... Oh, first year on Xbox. That's fair. That's fair. Number 7. Final Fantasy X. What can I say about this game? Definitely get some bonus points for being something different. It's a turn-based game. And so it was a bit of a learning curve, but I ended up really enjoying it. And so it is a fun game, but it is so corny and so cringy at times that it's really like every time I feel like I'm about to get sucked into the story, it's got this deeper meaning with the sin and faith and, you know, some people are dead, some people are alive. I mean, it's some people like it's got this really cool story build up, and then you get hit with ha 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 scene. And last night the just like like the voice acting, it's so bad. The only positive of that is it's funny. It's so bad. It's rough. So right as I'm about to get sucked into the game and really enjoy it, it like smacks me over the head with like, it smacks me over the head with like something like that, and it just makes me it's like it like immediately pulls me back out of it. Like, oh, this game's fucking stupid. I really like the combat, and I think I officially like Final Fantasy games now. But this one is painful at times, man. It is. If they had just toned it down a little bit, I think it would have been pretty great. Like Waka being over the top works, but like everyone being over the top, it gets out of hand. Number 6. Valheim. Oh, the image quality is pretty terrible here, but they really like low res images on the internet. Just pretend like you're drunk. So Valheim at number 6. I had a really hard time placing this game. There's so many. I feel like there's a lot of pros and cons. It's a great game with friends. The fact that you can play up to 10 people is awesome. The fact that there's a story is pretty awesome. There's an end goal. There's bosses. It's much more on rail, or much more of an objective than some of these other kind of games like this. The building was fun, but left a little to be desired. In terms of it was technically, I guess it's an alpha, I think, or maybe a beta, but it's a little clunky. The graphics weren't A+, especially on but the potato could run it, to that credit. I didn't love how grindy it was at times. There were streams where we were like, hey, for the next 4 hours, we're going to go mine copper. And that's just like, yay. It's, it's always a means to an end, but at some point, there are some streams where it's like, all right, well, we got to go chop a shitload of wood. And it's just, there's some, and once you get your system set up, it's better, but even that, like, there was fun in creating some efficiencies and stuff there and some cool buildings, but at the end of the day, there was some... It was a little too grindy, probably, for my liking, but I think it's my favorite kind of open-world survival game I've ever played by far. So it creeping up this high on the list was honestly surprising to me. Valheim at number 6. Like, I feel like that really helped that we were playing with people. If it was just me, I don't know if I would have made it as far as I did. Number 5. Metro 2033. This game was really fun. Kind of snuck up on me. It shows its age a little bit in terms of graphics, but I think It's I think it's really solid. The story was interesting. Interesting also in that they only solved one tiny little piece of it. And they left like all the mutants and stuff completely up for grabs. So they were kind of sequel baiting, but introduced a mysterious element plus like a realistic post-apocalyptic element, which was really cool. Bite-sized game that didn't drag on longer than it needed to, which is starting to become more and more important to games. To me at least, as I have less time, but really really strong game, a lot of fun, kept like high paced action up the whole time, unless even in the stealthy sections it was intense, so it kind of does a little bit of survivor horror and then a lot of bit of shooting, a nice little combo of both. So really good game. Number 4. Speaking of Halo the Master Chief Collection. Yeah, number 4, Halo MCC. You've got multiplayer, and it's mixed from all the games. Plus you've got Halo 1, 2, 3, 4 remastered. I don't absolutely love that they sold ODST and Reach as DLCs, but they did. And I think it's okay. I got them on sale, which I felt pretty good about. But you can play 6 Halo games in one spot. They did a really nice job remastering 2. They had already remastered 1, but it was remastered 2. The cutscenes look amazing. I'm not sure if 3 the cutscenes are also like that, but on 2 they absolutely killed it. It does get docked some points because it is a remaster. It's not anything new and exciting, but having one, and these are really good games though. So it's been nice to go back and kind of grow through them. I know we've still got more to do here, but I feel like I've played enough of the multiplayer and each of the campaigns that I feel good about grading it, and I think it's good. I've really enjoyed my time back in Halo. Very nostalgic, and they killed it on the remaster, especially on Halo 2. Number 3, the bronze medal for 2021 goes to Shadow of the Colossus. This was a really good game. I guess that's pretty obvious with its bronze medal status here. It's on the podium, but really cool concept. The whole absolutely giant guys that have weak spots you got to find. It's basically a puzzle with every time you're going up and trying to climb one of these guys and stab the shit out of it. There's a grip mechanic, which I think was pretty new at the time. Now it's been copied by other games, but you gotta find places to rest your grip, and based on how they're tilting and turning, that you can hopefully stay on while it's happening. The horse controls are horrific. That is with a game that's so mechanically sound, and it had a bunch of new mechanics. The fact that they just completely botched the horse was kind of weird. But a fun concept, and right as I was about to get tired of it, like, okay, I get it, they're big. They went through a bunch of different animals. There were 2 or 3 that started to look kind of similar. Like, right as I was like, okay, we were starting to run out of ideas, it's like final boss fight. So it was well timed in that regard. So it's like it knew when it had run its course. So it stayed fresh, stayed good the whole time. And it's an innovative game, and the feeling of killing something that much bigger than you was really cool, and stayed pretty much through the whole time. So it was pretty awesome. Number 2, the silver medal and the second place on the podium goes to. It was too perfect. It Takes Two. The winner of a lot of Game of the Year awards outside of this establishment, which doesn't really count, but the winner of many Game of the Year awards by lesser publications. Had a lot of fun playing this. Shane, so thank you for playing this with me. Once again, cool puzzles, different worlds. That kind of it found a nice way to wipe the puzzles, and give you new weapons and tools for each like area that you were in. The boss fights were awesome, with a surprisingly deep story, I would say. With the divorce, and it's hitting the kid hard, and it was a very surprisingly hard hitting story for what it was. So there was so it was really good all around. Honestly, mechanically it was great. It looked very nice. It gets dinged a little bit for it taking two. Having that you have to play a co-op, like that's the only way it would make sense. But I think the best games, I guess, can kind of stand on their own. So I think, but overall it crushes it. And same thing as Shadow of the Colossus. Like right as it was like, dude, I think I'm tired of these kind of puzzles, like these goofy over the top puzzles. Like I think they're super fun at first, and then you get to a point like, man, I think I'm tired of these. And then it's like that's the last thing, and here's on to the last boss or whatever, our last world. So it was for me. It was like right as I think Shane, you were in the same boat where it was like right as we were like, okay, it's about time to wrap it up. It did. So it was a really good game all around. I like the studio a lot. And if they come up with anything else, I think I don't want to say I'll be first in line, but I think we'll take a solid look at it. Plus, you only have to buy the one copy, and someone can play it with you. So, pretty awesome stuff. Number 1. All right. It's The Witcher 3. This game is a masterpiece. Pretty big fan. I guess I shouldn't say masterpiece. It's got some things that could be better. But it's a really damn good game. There is the quests are so deep and kind of interconnected with each other. It's mind-blowing to have something that you did forever ago, and it felt like really minor at the time, really impact things. The Witches of the Bog come to mind, and I guess related to that, really the story about the Bloody Baron and his kid was pretty wild. That the depth of that story, from the magic implication, the so that like conversation implication, the physical combat that has to happen, the decisions you have to make, like it's really deep, and that's just like a random side quest that's tied to a main quest, but it's just kind of a spin-off. That it's crazy how many good things are in this game as options, which is pretty awesome. So the combat's good, not great. It gets a little old, but mixing in the signs and the sword is really good. The main story is good. Keeps you it keeps dragging you along with a little bit of mystery. And then the side quests are amazing. That's where it really shines, I think. So the lore, the world that's created for this is pretty freaking awesome. So have very much enjoyed all 160-ish hours I put into this, and we'll finally finish this game allegedly in 2022. We've played it in 20 and 21 and now in 2022. So your winner for game of the year is The Witcher 3. So when you don't make the top 10 in a year when there's 12 games, that's tough luck. Far Cry New Dawn is another Far Cry game that's uses so much old material from Far Cry 5, and they basically make you do everything 3 times and call it gameplay. Solid game because Far Cry 5 was, but it was a little embarrassing how much was copy and pasted. So I didn't love that. And the other one was Last Guardian. This is the one I was talking about yesterday. I'm surprised it didn't make the top 10. Because if you just asked me, hey, is The Last Guardian in the top 10 games out of 12 that you played, I would have said yes. with like no hesitation. But the puzzles in that one got old for me. The mechanics were frustrating. And I know part of it's supposed to be frustrating, but that doesn't make me any less frustrated. So it's it was okay, and I didn't feel like it was better than any of the games on the list. You can maybe argue Stubbs because it wasn't completely broken, but it didn't happen to crack the top 10 there. So